Hello, good evening, neighbors, friends, and brothers and sisters. Welcome. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, joining you again. Another Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns and also to update you the work of the week here in New York Southwestern, and also to hear some of your concerns as well. And you are joining Facebook, Faisal Hassan, NDP, Twitter, Faisal Hassan, NDP, and Instagram, Faisal Hassan, NDP, and also LinkedIn and Facebook. Before I begin, I would like to wish to acknowledge at this time that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, and Métis. Welcome, folks, again for joining me this evening at 7 p.m. to 8 tonight, and there are a lot of things happening, folks. Welcome, Michael, and welcome you all, neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters, right here in Central United Church, right here in Western, at Western and King, is celebrating 200 years. 200 years, past and present. Please, if you have a time, check it out until 9 tonight, and also tomorrow and Saturday as well, this celebration of our community as well. Welcome. And tonight's busy program, but I want also to welcome you first and foremost, those joining us, all those platforms from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, and Twitter, and also my page. My handle is Faisal Hassan, NDP. And there are also many concerns you have raised, concerns of Ontario workers, and also Ontario Disability Support Program recipients have been an issue for several years. As rates have remained stagnant, individuals and families have dealt with increased burdens as a result of the pandemic and are being further harmed by rising inflation. One of Premier Ford's very first act in 2018 was to slash a much needed raise to ODSP and Ontario Works rates in half. 4 years later, Ontario Workers and Ontario Disability Support Program recipients continue to struggle with issues of housing and access to healthy food. That is why I'm so pleased to join the calls of many colleagues to raise social assistance rates and ensure that people living on Ontario Works or ODSP can afford to live decent lives. And of course, many of you have also written to me about it and also raised those concerns with me. Thank you for doing so. And also, many of you have talked about, the problem of dental care. Many members of the community needs dental care, especially our seniors. And dental care is also health care. I would like to welcome my colleague, Andrea Barrett, Brampton South, Ontario NDP candidate, and Ayana Francis, welcome, traveling foot books, the author of children's books right here in our community. And if you are living on Brampton South, please check out Andrea Barrett, who is doing a fantastic job. She was also advocate before she was became a candidate for businesses and small businesses in particular. And we have seen the challenges of small businesses in many parts of Ontario. And we've seen also the priority of the Premier and the Ford Conservatives putting big box stores a priority rather than small businesses. Welcome, University of Toronto NDP Club. Welcome too for joining. Andrea Barrett says, good evening, Faisal. Good evening, MPP Faisal. Welcome, Andrea Barrett, for joining us tonight, and folks also joining me as well. Welcome. You're joining your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, and. You're joining me, YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, please do so. And there's tons of videos there. You can actually go through about what we have been fighting on your behalf at the legislature as well. And also those who are joining LinkedIn, welcome, and also Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And my handle is Faisal Hassan, NDP. And Ayana Francis says, folks, good evening, everyone, folks. Well, thank you for joining us. And Ayana, I was fortunate to actually invite her in many times right here on my community discussions. And she is an excellent author for children's books. Please support her by visiting Traveling Foot Books as well, and support small businesses, shop locally, and help the community any way you can. And I've been saying again and again that dental care is healthcare, because healthcare is from head to toe. I believe that healthcare in Ontario needs to cover individuals from head to toe. That includes mental health supports, as well as basic dental coverage to improve the lives of all Ontarians. As the discussion on National Dental Care Program proceeds, you can count on us, the Ontario NDP, to support efforts to provide dental care to individuals who need help here in our community of York Southwestern and beyond. So thank you for that. And welcome Zainab, and welcome also Abdi, and welcome everybody. And Michael Bruto says, get food out. I will be happy. Well, thank you very much. Brian, welcome. Brian, Abdi, welcome as well. And definitely, the Ford had, and the Ford Conservatives had 4 years to make things better. And we've seen their attack of workers, their agenda of privatization of our healthcare and our education and programs that are vital to this province. And the bills, they are putting bills like Bill 24, attacking heroes, champions, frontline workers in our communities. And this is very important election, folks. We need for you to get involved. And if you are chipping in, also chip in wherever you live. And my website, you can check ysw.ontarionDP.ca. There you can also help and contribute and get involved, sign up, volunteers, and sign up donations, and also whatever you can to support us. Michael says, you may have my vote. Well, thank you, Michael. We're going to work hard to earn your trust and confidence, because that's what we'll take, is also listening to you and working for you. Michael, always you are the boss, and we work for you. And that's why, I'm a member of this community over 20 years, right here, working here, contributing. That's why we need a strong local voice, fighting for our community. And that's exactly what I have been doing the last 4 years that you have elected, fighting for many, many issues, especially our small businesses, consumer protection, auto insurance, childcare, housing, jobs and opportunities, and also affordability issues, cost of living issues, housing, and fighting for also those folks who are most vulnerable, members of our community, people who are relying on ODSP and Ontario Works. Thank you. Oh, I see, Michelle. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Michelle. I made an error there, so I hope you forgive me. Thank you, Michelle. I didn't clearly see spelling correctly, so my apologies there, Michelle, for your support, and I'll continue to earn your trust and confidence. Thank you for your support. And I'm pleased also to support local businesses in our community. So many entrepreneurs in our community of York Southwestern are hanging on by a thread. And as we pivot towards a recovery, they need our help to survive and thrive in the coming months and years. I will continue to press for more support when I return to the legislature this week, including direct support to hard hit businesses along the Eglinton Crosstown corridor and another round of small business support grants for our community, and also Eglinton Crosstown on the Killsdale community. As you know, folks, they have struggled for so long, and Metrolink, has not been forthcoming to support these communities, and they have requested again and again for direct support, and no one is listening to them. Michelle talked about this current government, folks, and we also had 15 years with Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty, and we've seen attack on education and nurses and healthcare. We used to have 2 hospitals in our community. Now we only have 1 hospital, and this is also another problem we have here. And well, thank you, Michelle. And we need to invest our healthcare, and we need to support our communities here. And that's why we need a strong advocate to continue the work I've been doing. And we need also an NDP government headed by Andrew Horvath to get things right and to move forward, folks. And also, this week was an important week. We've celebrated also International Water Day, and you know that many Indigenous communities in the north and many parts in Ontario do not have a clean drinking water. Think about that. The federal government has abandoned these communities, and they haven't supported them. And my leader, Andrew Horvath, said that we have to support them, and later on send the bill to federal government, because there is no leadership there to actually look after the Indigenous communities and also work with them nation to nation and respect those treaties. And that's also a shame to reflect that. Also, this week was the International Day for the Elimination of Racism. I was honored to join Midenta Community Services and also a youth organizing committee for the International Day of Ending Racial Discrimination conference held in North York. It included an inspiring series of panel discussions on issues like immigration, inequality and discrimination, and mental health. While progress has been made, Indigenous peoples, racialized communities, and minority religious minorities in Canada continue to face racism and discrimination. And every day, systemic barriers and systemic racism, it was a wonderful opportunity to recommit to combating all forms of racial discrimination, injustice, systemic racism, and hate to ensure a world where everyone is safe and also respected. And that's very important. And also, I've also listened the stories, heartbreaking stories about Somali refugees who have come here for many, many years, who have been part of our community and cross this great GTA communities here in Ontario, and they have been accepted as refugees. But now the Trudeau Liberals are now trying to put an application to vacate Canada and trying to deport them. They cannot deport them to Somalia because there is a continuous civil war, but they want to deport them to Kenya, a country they are not from. And now, because, as you know, refugees fled and they're running away from fear of persecution, like wars, like we see recently, what's happening in Ukraine. A lot of refugees are fleeing to Poland, to Romania, to other parts, running away from war. And the case Somalia also is continuous war that is going on, invasions from neighboring countries like Kenya, like Ethiopia, and other groups are fighting there. And a lot of refugees have fled to neighboring countries, and many refugees have been smuggled into Canada. And these young people who are, nurses, frontline workers, are being now um, uh, 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 told that the government is taking away their permanent residence. And this is a shame at the time when we need these young people. We need young people, educated people we are looking for them overseas. They're here, people who have been checked their background. They have been clean. They have been working hard in our community. Many of them have children, born here and married, Canadians. They are refugees from Somalia. It has been proven. But now they're saying because these smugglers have brought you into a Kenyan passport, therefore you're Kenyan. But that's not who they are. So I think if the Ford Conservatives, as also the local federal MP, if he's listening to us tonight, they should look to these 400 young people who have been contributing so much. Some of them now are having a mental issue. Some of them have actually committed suicide because there is nowhere else to turn to, nowhere to go back to. Kenya is not their country. They're not Kenyans. They are Somalis. And they have said so. They have been accepted, their status, And this is also the stories I heard on Monday, March 21st. It make my heart so heartbreaking. Our immigration system is just not doing the right things by simply the sad story I also heard was the federal government has assigned 2 judges, a woman and a man, hearing their same story. Sometimes when they even appeal to the court, so their case is just run up for 5 minutes, to simply say, oh, you're not Somali, you're Kenyan, even though they have proven who they are. And this is also similar stories, folks, that has happened in the 1990s when refugees from Somalia were fleeing to Canada, and when they came, it was also mainly, that time was John Chrétien was the prime minister, and then Paul Martin. They targeted the Canadian government, headed by the Liberal government then, and they had basically put them into a backlog, told them stay in Canada for no documentations for 10 years. Many of these people have fled. They just left to the United States, where they were welcomed open arms, because the Americans say, give me your poor, and they are doing extremely well in places like Ohio and Minneapolis and so forth and so forth. And now these folks, I was told there are close to 400 to 500 young people, and our immigration point system is looking for highly educated and young people. And here is an example. Also, there were folks, these young people were also folks who were moving during the pandemic. There were frontline workers, there were nurses. And now it's a shame that the Prime Minister and the Minister of Immigration, maybe, they can look into their situation because they're a member of our community. Many of them live in our riding, and we need to bring their stories to the rest of Canada because they're really doing a good job, and Immigration Canada should correct this and intervene and grant them their applications because they are refugees. You have accepted them. They have met the requirement for the Refugee Convention of 1951 and the Protocol of 1967. And relating to refugee mandate, they are fleeing. So many of them I've also quickly identified as Somali refugees, and many of them have also proven, but the Immigration Canada is not listening to them. They're not considering this evidence, and that's a shame. And I will be also advocating on their behalf because injustices, and we need to also include our immigration to all refugees and so forth. Well, thank you very much for listening to that stories as well. It was also the occasion of the day of the elimination of discrimination and racial Discrimination Day, March 21st. I think I've got a lot of comments here from Instagram. Let me take some of them quickly. And first, let me read quickly. And Antisocial, I don't know your name, but I will read, says that, hi, Mr. Hassan. Would the provincial NDP consider working closely with and ensuring the Conservative don't win the next election? Well, I think that's a very good question. I would prefer if you just also mention your name and your writing, if you live in our community, because I do believe that we had 15 years of a liberal government headed Kathleen Wynne and Dalton McGuinty. And we have seen, the challenges right here in this community have faced the last 15 years. I've lived here. And at the moment, in order to defeat the Ford Conservatives, the NDP is best positioned to do so. We have 40 seats. This is about 40 ridings across the province. All we need to do is just win 25 seats and all 30 seats to form government. And that's all what it takes to get rid of Ford Conservatives. And that's why I say it's very important that all the progressives come to the NDP, come to defeat the Ford Conservatives. That's how we're going to do it. But if you feel that the Liberals have a chance, you are simply re-electing Ford Conservatives. And we cannot have another 4 years of Ford Conservatives. My friend, this is a response to a comment made, antisocial underscore ANG, joining me on Instagram. And I think I should continue saying that the polls continue to show the votes are split and Ford is still in the lead. Well, this is the problem. If you're relying on polls, polls might not tell the whole story, my friend. And the other thing you need to know about polls is ask them, what question have you asked the voters? How are they drawing these questions about they're asking them? Because I'm on the ground every day, and many members of my colleagues are on the ground for 40 ridings. You see, that is a lot of stories you need to know. So ask them next time, these polls, they're coming up, what is the question they're asking? And that's where you will know really who is leading on these polls. But I'll say to you, if the Liberals, who are now in the process of rebuilding their party provincially, cannot win this coming election, but confusing the progressives, then it will lead again another Ford term, and that's we cannot afford. So what we need in order to have progressive programs, and what we need to do that, then you have to come and vote wherever you are in Ontario, vote NDP this coming election, and that's how we are going to get rid of Ford Conservatives in Ontario. And I hope you join us and spread that message and say the Liberals have no chance, despite of whatever these polls are saying, and whatever polls they're saying, ask them, what is the question asked? And that will tell you also the result of this. All they are relying on is splitting the votes. And when you do that, then Ford gets in. Okay? So I think that's the way to do it. It's time now the Liberals join us and work with us to win an NDP government in Ontario. Okay? I think that's what I will answer to that antisocial comments joining me from Instagram. Well, thank you for joining me this evening as well. Thank you. And if you have any questions or suggestions, I'll be happy to respond as well. All right. I won't be able to take folks' request through video to join me to have a conversation because I have so much things to talk about. Situations like that, we need to plan ahead of time. So I won't be accepting, but I'll take some of your comments. Folks joining on Instagram says, Raghav Shadal says, hey Faisal, how are you doing? I'm doing fine, thank you. And continues to say, I had a question. Why did Jagmeet agree to guarantee Prime Minister power until 2025. Hope all is well for you. Well, thank you very much. I cannot speak for Jagmeet Singh, as you know, and I am a provincial member. I represent you and speak for you on the provincial matters. I cannot answer what happened federally and what's going on up there. So I think the right person to ask is the federal leader, Jagmeet Singh. But I think also, I do believe that we do need a dental care and farmer care, and it's important that we also implement this as soon as possible, because I know many seniors in my community here every day are wanting to have a dental care and farmer care. They're struggling. And to get that also, as I said many occasions, healthcare is from head to toe. We need to deliver these healthcare and keep it also remain it public in that sense. Well, also, I will take other folks also joining me. I will come to you folks, the remaining questions for Instagram, but also I will also take folks from the Facebook page as well. And that is also Michelle says, how can I help with the election? I find when a poll comes up, I never hear from anyone. Oh, I see. Well, you can help by Michelle signing up, going to ysw.ontarionDB.ca. You can sign for volunteer. You can also donate. You can get involved that. You can also join me if you have time to join me every day to connect to the community. That's also something you can do now. Quickly here, Antisocial says, thanks for your response, Faisal. And again, also Antisocial _ANG says, you are my MPP, and I hope we push the Conservative out to protect people from their cuts. I'm a teacher in your writing, and I have seen firsthand the effects of Conservative policies. Indeed. Well, thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate. Next time, just drop me a note. Happy, to meet you, and I'm going to work hard to earn your trust and confidence. Absolutely, this election we have to get out the Conservatives out, and that's why I'm saying early that the only way to defeat the Conservatives in this election is to support the party that can and has the upper hand and also a readiness and has the resources to defeat the Conservatives at this stage. The Liberals under Del Duca, they are in the process of rebuilding the Liberal Party. And that will take another 8 years, another 12 years from now. And that is, we cannot afford to rely on that. Now we have a party that is ready, a premier ready, Andrew Horvath, and a team that is ready to take government and deliver services and programs and restore our education resources and fund it to fully and hire more teachers, more education workers, and also repair those old buildings and build new schools and make sure we are partner with teachers, with parents, and students. But these polls earlier we talked about is basically misleading the public, because that's not the whole story. They're not telling what questions are they asking and who are they calling with these symbols. There are many people who are also are not never called, So don't think these polls will be a factor, because it's also a way to influence you. But in order to defeat Ford Conservatives, we have to join the NDP, and all your colleagues, teachers, whether they are Catholic teachers or the public teachers or the French teachers, and we have to come together on the NDP come to defeat the Ford Conservatives. That's the only way to do it, and we can do it. And Andrea Horvath is ready to lead, and the entire NDP caucus and the candidates already are ready to go, and we're ready. We have the team, we have the experience, we are ready to lead and take government in Ontario, and we have the programs. So we are happy to listen to you also and to work with you as well. Well, thank you for joining, and thank you for your comments this evening. Well, Steve, welcome. Michelle also says, how can I think I did said that. Well, folks, thank you very much. And quickly also comments quickly. Frank says that this is such a heartbreaking development. The IRC, Immigration Revenue Refugee, it's called IRCC, is too punitive towards those fleeing violence, persecution, and extreme poverty and destitution. Well, I think when a refugee is telling, fleeing a fear and persecution, most of them they may not have the documentations of the country they're fleeing from. So there are many ways people are arriving, smugglers are bringing them in, and what they are accusing them is you did not tell the people who brought in because they were afraid. They were told that not to say so, and they could not, and they told them. But they are refugees from Somalia, and they have proven, and they have the documentations to prove it. And that is also, I think, it is the right thing to do. The Immigration Canada looks their case, and because they are already been contributing in our community. Some of them have been living for many, many years because they were permanent residents. They have been accepted, and now they want to take it away. They don't want to Somalia because they cannot send to Somalia because there's a violence going on. They want to send a country in which they have no citizenship, and so on, and where also Somalis also are treated as second-class citizens, discriminated, or even in the streets. Police ask them money to move one block to another, and that's also documented, folks. And that's another situation where I think our journalists have recently, also CBC have covered this as well, and many also papers should look into this. This is a shame, and we need to correct this. Thank you for commenting, Frank, for that as well. And welcome, folks. Just give me a minute. Also, this week we celebrated also World Down Syndrome Day, and a happy World Down Syndrome Day every March 21st. People with Down syndrome and those who live and work with them throughout the world recognize and participate in activities and events to raise a public awareness and create a single global voice advocating for the rights, inclusion, and well-being of people with Down syndrome. The date for WDSD being the 21st day of the 3rd March was selected to signify the uniqueness of the triplication trisomy of the 21st chromosome, which causes Down syndrome. And folks, also there have been also another story of the Toronto Star recently. Toronto Star covered the story of our community right here in 33 King. Charlene, our neighbor and friend, her family and the residents of 33 King Street in Weston. It is a story all too familiar to tenants in this community. It struggles with affordable rent, decent accommodations, and shrinking opportunities for growing families. The investigative report put a focus on the divide happening in the building. On one side are long-term tenants like Charlene, who moved into the building 17 years ago and has watched her family grow with 3 young children. They have outgrown their unit, but they are feeling trapped. Finding a new home that fits their family's size and budget is out of reach. For other long-term tenants, rent remains affordable, but it is taking too long to get much-needed repairs done to their units. As all of this unfolds, the landlord is pursuing above guideline rent increases for 2018, 2019, and 2021, putting further financial pressure on legacy tenants, many of which rely on a fixed income. Seniors, according to the public records, tenants who lived at the 33 King Street for over a decade saw their rent increase by an average of 28%. Look at that, 28%. The newer tenants, the situation is also very difficult. They're having a hard time making ends meet, with the average rent in Toronto raising to over 2,000 a month. Housing costs are eating further into household budgets, with some families spending up to 60% of their incomes simply to keep a roof over their heads. It is leaving less money to pay for monthly bills, and as other costs continues to increase, people are feeling the pinch. The cost of gas, groceries, and medication continue to increase, forcing many to go without or rely on community supports like local food banks for help. Other tenants are forced to work multiple jobs to generate the income needed to afford housing, and some units are being overhoused as residents invite more family members or roommates to soften the impact of rental costs. Whether you are a new tenant or a long tenured tenant, life is hard, and it is getting harder. I was happy to visit residents at 33 King Street last week and speak to some of these tenants about their challenges. They agreed that urgent action is required to fix housing and that families like theirs need more help. They want rent control to ensure that rents don't go up at a rate that forces people from their homes. They want to eliminate the incentive to mistreat legacy tenants by instituting vacancy control, limiting the amount a landlord can charge for a unit from one tenant to the next. They want support with other costs that make life so unaffordable, such as childcare costs and dental care. They want to see incomes go up with raises for PSWs, nurses, a 20 and a 20 minimum wage as well. Above all, they insist that the government starts recognizing housing as a human right, not a luxury for a select few. This has been a key focus of mine, and I look forward to the opportunity to bring change to our community and fight at Queen's Park to bring our homes you can afford, a plan into a reality. And this is also a very important, because I have talked about many times about our housing plan, and our housing plan that our leader Andy Horvath have revealed now almost a year ago. I have been talking to you for the last 2 years now, and it's important what we have witnessed with tenants from 33 King and many tenants in our community is the problem of above guideline rent increases, which the landlords are given by through the past government of the Liberals and the Conservatives to simply charge certain percentages above guideline rent increases, which basically means they're not repairing the units repairs, but they are basically painting at the front and so on and so forth. And this is also the responsibility of the landlord to continuously make sure the maintenance are taken care of. But what this current government and the previous government allowed is to charge and pass on to the tenants on above guideline rent increases. What we need to do is ban it, eliminate it altogether. And my colleague, Jill Andrew, myself, and many members of our caucus have been fighting on this. And we have put bills and also motions to pressure the government to ban above guideline increases and also bring a rent control. But each time this government have voted down. And that's the problem here. That's why we need to form government to put these priorities in the right direction, you know. And also, our plan, if you haven't read it, please read it. It's Ontario NDP housing plan. Also, it has so many options for people, like also allowing those who are working and also struggling to actually have to put down payment, because many of you, it takes 10 years or more to actually put together a down payment. And what we are doing is to also allow that 10% down payment for equity loans to put down, and you pay it later on when you sell your home, or you can buy it in between while you are there in that unit. And that's a crucial, also giving people options, also to go after the flippers and also speculators, to make sure that we have to look after and build more houses, either rental or affordable, to make sure also people could also afford these houses, so that they are also looking at also housing is a human right. As you know, last year I put a bill just exactly saying that housing is a human right. And that bill was also voted down by this government again, which would have actually provided clear the Minister of Housing to make sure the framework of making sure that housing is a human right. And it is, because it's a shame a country like ours and a province like ours, people have no place to live or cannot afford a place of their own in a community in which they grew up. And that's unacceptable. We need to tackle these issues, and we will do it as an NDP government. We will tackle this, and we'll put it into tackling these affordability issues and cost of living issues that is going uncontrollable, and many of you are also paying a large amount of also child care, also auto insurance. We have been targeted, and I've been talking about this since I've been elected, about the auto insurance issues, and it is because of where we live. Our postal code goes up because of our postal code, and that's a shame. Auto insurance should not be based on any other factors except the car you drive and your driving record. Period. That is it. There's no other factors involved here. And to suggest that the behavior of others is my responsibility, that's unacceptable. And this has also been a huge problem for many times, and we've talked about this again and again. Also, the consumers are taking advantage of, and consumers, as you know, I put a bill. We put together a bill with my colleagues from Humber River Black Creek, Scarborough Southwest, and London North Centre. And this bill was to protect consumers and to create a Ontario consumer watchdog, and to protect the consumers and to give a teeth and protection for consumers. Now, no one is going to protect you. The government will give you an 800 number, if somebody is taking advantage of you, and where to turn to, nowhere to turn to. And that bill was very important. I co-sponsored with my colleague Tom Rokosovich from Humber River Black Creek, Dolly Beckham from Scarborough Centre, and also Terence Canahan from London North Centre. And they have voted it down again. And we see this government's priorities. They are with big box stores, as we have seen it in the pandemic, and we've seen that the small businesses that they're actually better to do social distancing. They were not open, they were closed. And many of them, unfortunately, are gone, like Perfectly Planned, like WIF, like others. And this is the result of the decisions of this government. And we need to change to make sure that small businesses are also supported, because they are the creators of jobs, especially majority of the jobs are created small businesses. They're close to the community. They help in charity. They are part of our community, and we need to support them. Please shop locally, and that's very important, folks. I was also disappointed to read the CBC marketplace investigation into Ontario's broken home care system this weekend. And I've talked about this many, many times. We've also seen the report that the military have revealed the conditions of our seniors. Um, and their report is yet another reminder of how the government has fallen short in caring for seniors and vulnerable members of our community. It tells the story of a system in disarray, failing to deliver the service that families need and forcing families to carry the load. Home care in Ontario is heavily privatized, with services contracted to private companies for over 700,000 people. Patients and families are finding that the companies fail to come through with services too often. And in some cases, patients are ending up in hospital as a result. To make matters worse, there is little accountability from the industry, as private companies aren't required to report how often appointments are missed, opening the door to the possibility that taxpayers are paying for services that were never delivered. An Auditor General's report released in December 2000, the Auditor General's released in December 2021 last year found that the government has little information on the frequency of missed visits. Part of the issue surrounds the treatment of personal support workers in the home care industry. Here in Ontario, BSW is working for private companies delivering home care start at $16.50 an hour, a rate for short of what a frontline hero deserves. Remember, the Premier says these frontline workers, they are our heroes, our champions, yet they are not compensated a living wage, a rate for short of what a frontline hero deserves. This is resulting in difficulties in recruiting BSWs into the field and issues with worker retention. As a result, companies are cutting corners and exposing seniors and individuals needing additional care to the risk of worse outcomes. Partners, children, and loved ones are being burdened by inconsistent support and are being left to fill the gaps in service. The people who rely on home care are simply trying to remain in their family homes for as long as they can, and they deserve our support to do so. Not only does home care benefit the patient's overall health, but it results in lower healthcare costs overall. In 2019, patients occupying a hospital bed while waiting for access to home or long-term care cost Ontarians an unestimated 375 million more than what it would cost to provide care in the community. The lack of transparency and accountability from private home care providers need to end, and companies must require to report the frequency of missed home visits. But this is just a first step. Our plan for home care calls for investments of at least $1 billion, increasing home care service volumes by 5% each year. It will establish provincial standards for home care services such as nursing care to help with medication and management or meal preparation. We will deliver culturally appropriate support by developing a program to attract personal support workers and other home care workers to jobs in communities where they have common cultural and linguistic knowledge. And finally, we will eliminate the root of the problem by bringing in a community-based, not-for-profit home care system and end the liberal and conservative for-profit home care model in Ontario once and for all, and end it once and for all, folks. And that is why we need to invest every dollar on service and care of our seniors. And And I see a lot of you are making comments here on Instagram. Let me just bring here quickly our friend here, Rag Shandel, says um, Hitler's Nazi swastikas is horrible symbol and should be banned from the world. However, Hindu people have a symbol that has a religious symbol that has been around for thousands of years that is also called swastika. The Hindu symbol looks slightly different than the Nazi swastika. However, Hitler purposely gave them the same name. Why doesn't any government refer to Hitler's symbol as the Nazi swastika so Hindu people don't feel like they are being insulted? Well, I mean, thank you for sharing that comment. You just educated me here for sharing this with us. But well, thank you for sharing that. And I think I don't know much knowledge about this, so perhaps all I could say is thanks for sharing with that. And I think any symbols of Nazi symbols is not welcome in Ontario. Period. We don't want any hate or hatred or racism, and also anti-Semitism, anything like that as well. So you can count on me fighting for that as well. Okay, and Blinging Events International, my friend, joined also. Welcome in Instagram, and thank you for joining me as well. And folks also joining on also Facebook, welcome. Mohammed says, very good point. Dexan, Siad, Margarita, Alvaro, Nasra, welcome folks for joining me this evening, and those also joining also on LinkedIn and YouTube. Also welcome, and Twitter welcome, and NDP Faisal Hassan NDP on Facebook page, welcome, and also Instagram Faisal Hassan NDP page, welcome. That is my handle. You can follow me on social media, Faisal Hassan NDP. And those who are joining, just join or have just joined recently, this is your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, joining you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear your concerns and also to update you what's happening in the community for the week just past. Every Friday I'll be joining you, except the coming Friday of April 8th, where I will be attending an important conference, and I will be updating you the following Friday. But I will be here with you the coming Friday, which will be, I believe, the week, I think the 30th. And then I will be, let me check it, what that is. That will be, I believe, April 1st. That will be. I will be joining you again. And also next week, I will be going back to the legislature, and I will be also holding this government accountable. And there are many issues that I want to also fight on your behalf, and I'll be updating you. In order to get instant updates, you can also subscribe my newsletter by going to my website, faisalhassan.ca. There, you can actually click newsletters and subscribe. You will be able to receive instantly our newsletter twice a week, actually, Mondays and Thursdays. And we have been sending consistently since the last 2 years. Because of the pandemic, we have actually tried to reach you to make sure that you get the updates and also connect you again, And we started earlier on Saturdays, and then we changed to, because of your request, to Fridays from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I think this session of Parliament will be coming to an end, the end of April, and there we go for general election. So folks, if you are supporting me or my leader or the Ontario NDP, you can also support me by visiting my website, ysw.ontarionDP.ca. There you can sign up for volunteer. You can also donate and connect as well, and also follow me on my Instagram, my Twitter, my YouTube, and also LinkedIn. And also, I'm also trying to also be active also on TikTok, to also reach you there as well, to also keep in touch with you and provide you also those connections as well. So if you want to also get in touch, also you can also sign up my newsletter by visiting my website, faisalhassan.ca. And you can subscribe my newsletter. You can also join every Friday rather, Friday from 7 p.m. right here on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and Twitter and LinkedIn. So we connect to keep in touch as well. So if you have questions and comments, I'll be happy to share with you. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining this evening, and those who have also commented. I mean, many of you in Instagram, it's difficult because you are using your handle, which doesn't have your name. And but many of you are also living in our community. And thank you for those who have asked questions, and those who have also who made comments as well. You know, and that's also a very important. And also welcome. Also Steve also joined us as well. And yes, I will be joining you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. as well. So, what is your what is your mind, folks? Is there any concerns you have? And if you do, and you can't wait for Fridays, you can actually reach my constituency office at 416 243 7984. You can email me fhassan-co at ndp.on.ca. You can also follow me on social media. My Twitter handle is Faisal Hassan NDP. My YouTube, my Instagram is also Faisal Hassan NDP, and also my Facebook page is Faisal Hassan NDP, and LinkedIn, and also Facebook. You can also join me there as well. So you could also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube, you can also do that. You can subscribe my YouTube as well. Okay, and so you get an update and so forth. And I have been joining you every Friday to join you and to update you what I have been working on every week, to also take some of your comments and questions and read them. Sometimes I cannot read all of the comments, but reading some of them also is fine with me. And yes, some of you have been active, engaged, joining, and I know many of you are not able to join Friday at 7 p.m. But the good thing about it is we will have archive. You can watch it again on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page. You can watch it also, on LinkedIn and YouTube. You can make comments. You can also write to me, fhassan-co at ndp.on.ca. You can also phone me quickly for a quick response, 416-243-7984. Well, thank you for joining again. And also, I think shortly I will be joining Tariq. I think he's a journalist from Mississauga who will also be interviewing me shortly live. We'll be talking about provincial issues. And if you're able to join us, probably if you follow Tariq, or I will be also sharing as soon as that connection is made to share with you, so you can also join us that conversation. As soon as I signed off, I'll be joining him around 8:30. Scheduled to also to join him to interview me about the Ontario politics, and happy to join Tariq as well. And folks, well, thank you. And Michelle says, thank you for all the information you have provided to us. Well, thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate it for your engagement and for your support. And we'll be in touch again. I'll be joining you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear from me. The work of the legislature next week is going to be very busy week, of course, for me, and also continuing the work of the constituency. And I will be in touch by email or by phone. If you haven't received on my newsletters, please also subscribe so we can send you those updates as well from Mondays and Thursdays, so we could connect as well. Well, until then, folks, thank you very much. I'll see you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. I'll be joining you again next Friday from 7 p.m. Until 8. Until then, folks, take care and wash your hands and make sure you also help your neighbors, your friends, and take care of each other. Thank you. See you then, folks. Bye.